This is home. Twin States News starts right now.
The 2022 tax filing season is in full swing, and the time to file is winding down. Twin States News' Donisha Branham got in touch with a tax professional and got advice on steps to take to begin your process.
The IRS has set April 18th of 2022 as the final day for Americans to file their federal tax return on time. The agency started accepting returns on January the 24th. Metro Tax and Administration Services gives advice on what you can do now to beat the deadline.
Just try to be prepared and bring in all of your tax documents, your W-2s, 1099, any documents that the IRS has sent. Don't assume, bring those in to your tax preparer to make sure that you're supposed to file them.
This year is different from previous years, and delays may occur while waiting to receive your refund.
But this year is going to be an unusual year because of the pandemic and other factors that made it difficult. So many people retired and so forth because of the pandemic. This is going to be a different year. So just be patient.
For those who may have yet to take any steps to file their taxes but want to do so, Heidelberg had this to say.
Well, there's very little we can do at this stage, but you can make preparation for the next year.
Lacey Williams, one of Metro Tax's regular clients who was in the process of filing her taxes, has some words of wisdom to others who may have yet to start filing their taxes.
The advice that I have is to go ahead and get on it because time is drawing near. It's March the 19th, the 18th. So yeah, time is running out. So go ahead and get it done if you haven't already started.
If you file a tax extension, you can e-file your taxes until October 15th to October 17th of 2022 without a late filing penalty. Donisha Branham, Twin States News, Meridian.
40 Southern Baptist churches have gathered in Meridian to complete mission projects that will benefit the Queen City community. Twin States News' Jasmine Stevenson tells us about some of those projects.
Over the next 2 days, dozens of mission projects will be completed through an organization called Send Relief. Hundreds of Christians gathered this morning at different church hubs to begin the day. One of the hubs was First Baptist of Meridian.
God tells his people, seek the welfare of the city, for when it thrives, you thrive. We want to see our cities thrive. So in all sorts of different ways, I'm part of a downtown beautification project. We have groups working to beautify parks and schools. We've got a mobile hamburger flipping unit going around just passing out free hamburgers and say, God loves you. Here's a meal to people that need it.
One of the special projects was an idea from Terrence Roberts, the pastor here at Parables Church. The team behind me is working on building a prototype Conestoga hub, which will be used for emergency shelter for the homeless.
As pastor of the church here in the Tuxedo community, we experience our neighbors and people in the community who are suffering from homelessness and are experiencing homelessness. And so I started looking at ideas, and I found this concept being used in Eugene, Oregon, and churches who were building these Conestoga huts and using them to help give a hand up to someone who's trying to get out of homelessness.
Out of the 40 churches that are participating, 23 of them are local.
I was asking our group, who's come from the farthest distance, and we have a big group at our hub from Enid, Oklahoma. So it humbles us, it encourages us, and it blesses us that people all the way over there who have nothing to quote unquote benefit from this are pouring into this city.
The Serve Tour will continue on Saturday to complete the mission projects. Jasmine Stevenson, Twin States News, Meridian.
The Salvation Army is changing the time and location of their evening meals. Beginning today, the organization will serve their meals every evening from 5 till 6 p.m. at their new building located at 1115 25th Avenue. They're asking that you drive in from 12th Street. The food will be served in to-go containers. Fire officials are investigating the cause of a house fire that happened early this morning. The Meridian Fire Department responded to a fire burning through the roof of a home on Poplar Springs Drive around 5:30 a.m. The flames were coming from the basement to the roof of the home. Occupants were in the home at the time of the fire, but there were no reported injuries. The Meridian Police Department Criminal Investigation Division is looking for Dominitris Camper for questioning in an active investigation. If you know where he is, call the Meridian Police Department at 601-485-1893 or Crime Stoppers at 855-485-8477. Now to the latest in Ukraine. Russia continues its ruthless assault across Ukraine, targeting more civilian sites. And as Alexis McAdams reports, it's causing more people to flee, and some officials are reaching a boiling point.
Again today, more refugees pouring into Poland. This comes after another night of assaults on Ukraine's capital.
It's the war against civilians. I doesn't see military people here. It's no military base. It's just apartments from civilians.
Kyiv's mayor addressing an early morning missile attack which leveled a residential neighborhood in northern Kyiv. Homes, schools, all reduced to rubble. At least one person killed, several others, including children, injured.
There was nothing left of the apartment. I'm barely alive myself.
Russian troops now taking aim at Lviv, a city near the Polish border, generally considered a safe area, sheltering some 200,000 refugees.
The enemy's strike against the city of Lviv is another proof that it does not fight Ukrainian troops, it fights the population, children, women, refugees. There is nothing sacred for them.
Ukrainians also flooding out of Mariupol, a city that's been under siege for weeks. Tens of thousands of people escaped over just the last few days, but that's just a fraction of the people still trapped, desperate for life-sustaining supplies.
There's nothing left alive in there. Everything bombed. Where can we return?
Right now, the White House working to help Ukrainian refugees seek asylum in the U.S. Near the Ukrainian border in Poland, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
A House hearing taking place to look into recent bomb threats at HBCUs across the country. Thursday, the Committee on Oversight and Reform spoke about how the government can support these institutions. According to the committee, at least 36 HBCUs have been targeted with violent bomb threats so far this year. At least 18 of those institutions dealt with threats on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. Some campuses have been disrupted on multiple occasions. The FBI says they are investigating the threats as racially or ethically motivated violent extremism and hate crimes. So far, no arrests have been made.
Historically, this is not something new. Black colleges, churches, and other sacred spaces for Black people have always been targeted in this country. I think right now it's no secret that there's growing racial division in this country as well, and unfortunately HBCUs are a prime target for that attention to be directed towards.
The White House says short-term grants will be provided to HBCUs that have received threats. The grants will be between $50,000 and $150,000. A lot of people have been heading out of town for spring break, but if you're still planning your next trip, Jesse Kirsch has a look at what to expect as you dust off that suitcase.
From the skies to the seas, travelers are once again flocking to their dream destinations.
Being able to get out there and actually enjoy, traveling, it's great to be back.
And while many may be itching for that long-awaited vacation, these days hitting the road for some R&R looks a little different. COVID restrictions are rolling back, but some travel changes are sticking around, at least for now. Many hotels cut back on housekeeping services, limiting or getting rid of daily cleanings and turn-down services altogether, with some now offering on-demand housekeeping by request. But at higher-end properties and luxury boutique hotels, daily room cleaning services are back. The Points Guy says complimentary breakfast spreads, some restaurants and lounges, gyms, kids clubs, room service, and even concierges are also absent from many hotels because of COVID. Some tourists with jam-packed sightseeing schedules unfazed by the hotel changes they've seen.
The hotel is pretty much to sleep, shower, change, and go back at it again. So it's not really much of a big deal for us.
Some hotels also moving to a more contactless experience, turning smartphones into room keys. Others are even offering check-in and check-out on an app. Aboard cruise ships, guests decide how often and when their cabins are cleaned. And mobile apps are now a go-to for everything from menus to dinner and show reservations. While most of these protocols were put in place for safety, some believe they're sticking around thanks to labor shortages.
The cost of hiring these people became exorbitant. And the reality was that they could still use COVID as an excuse to not provide these services.
If you're taking public transportation or flying, TSA says you still need to put on a mask until April 18th. That mask mandate also applies in airports before and after you fly. Another reminder on your next big trip, that dream destination might look a little bit different.
The Russian invasion of Ukraine is leading to anti-Russian bias in the U.S., with more Americans taking out their anger on Russian-owned businesses across the country.
Business down a little bit, like 30 to 20% down.
A look at the escalating economic tensions and their effects on those opposing the war.